Monday, we learned that Information Book Club members activate their schema. You
Activate their schema.
And you do that before you begin researching and reading all about a topic. And we were introduced to a new tool that you could use to keep track of what you learned and how your thinking changed and grew. Today, you're going to continue to use that folder that I gave you to keep track of your thinking and your new learnings as you read your nonfiction text with your book club jacks. Well, yesterday, or last night actually, I was reading on the couch. And I was reading, Aaliyah, all these facts about dinosaurs. And I kept blurting out lots of facts, like dinosaurs have long necks, dinosaurs lived in the prehistoric age, dinosaurs ate leaves. Well, Garrett was walking by and he said to me, Miss Holden, what in the world are you reading about? I'm so confused. You just keep blurting out all these facts. Well, I realized then, as a nonfiction reader, I need to keep the big idea in my mind as I read lots of facts. Instead of just blurting out all the facts, I need to keep the big idea, all about dinosaurs, in my mind and be adding to that big idea as I read. So readers, today, I want to teach you that
Strong readers keep
the
big idea in mind.
So today we're going to use our hand. Everyone put your hand up. We've been working on identifying the big idea.
Big idea.
The middle of your hand is going to represent the big idea. The
Big idea.
And your fingers are going to be detail, 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 detail. Fingers are going to be? They're going to be key details. They're going to be?
Key details.
So as I read today, I'm going to show you how I figure out what's the big idea. What's the?
Big idea.
Hands up. Point to it and say, what's the big idea?
What's the big idea?
Then you're going to add key detail, key detail, key detail, key detail. All right, and I'm going to show you how I do that today with my book, Forces Make Things Move. So here, you know what, I'm actually just going to hold this up so you guys can see the picture and the words. Eyes up here. Thanks, Leo. I'm reading Forces Make Things Move, and I'm going to flip to this page that we've already read. Whenever you push something, it pushes back against you. Thinking about what's the big idea in this page. If you push a toy car, it pushes back against you with the exact same force. If you guys come up with a big idea, Leo, I want you to go like this. Point to your hands like you're figuring out what the big idea is in this part. If you push a toy car, it pushes back against you with the exact same force. If you push harder, the toy car pushes back harder. This can be difficult to understand, but it's true. The force you put on the car is always the same as the force the car puts back on you. Thinking about the big idea in this part. What is this part mostly about? If you push the toy car, the force makes the car start moving. So if the toy car is also pushing you, why don't you start moving? Because you are so much heavier than the toy car. Remember, it takes more force to move heavy things even. The force that can move a toy car can't move you. Since it takes such a small amount of force to move the toy car puts only that much force on you. The force is too small for you to feel. I see Jackie going like this. She's thinking about, what is this part mostly about? What is this part mostly about? Now, I'm going to think to myself, what is the part that I just read mostly about? And you know what? The big thing that I learned in this part is that the force you put on something is always the same as the force that thing puts back on you. Now, that's the big thing. The force you put on something, Daniel, is the same force that it puts back on you. That's the big idea of this page. Now, I'm going to add a key detail. For example, if you push a toy car, the force makes it move. But if you push a toy car, or if you push a real car, it will not move because the car's force is much stronger than yours. Can you guys move a real car?
No.
No.
I can.
But Daniel, if you tried to move a real car, you wouldn't be able to do it, right? So that's like a key detail about force in this part. And a key detail is, if I try to push a toy car, I can push it because my body is heavier than the car. But does the toy car make me move?
No.
No, because I'm heavier than the toy car. So here, I'm in a sticky note in my book. The big thing I learned, let's all hold up your hands, point to the big thing. The big thing I learned is
The big thing I learned is
that the force you put on something is always the same as the force that it puts back on you. Alright, key detail. For example, if you push a toy car, the force makes it move. But if you push a real car, it will not move because the car's force is much stronger than yours. Now, it's your turn. Did you guys see how I identified the big idea? What was the part mostly about? Then, I talked about examples. Like, what were the key details in that part, Daniel? To support what the big idea was. Now it's going to be your turn. I'm going to read another page, and I want you to think, what's the big idea in this part? I want you to think, what is the part mostly about? You're going to think, what is this part mostly about? And then you're going to identify key supporting details to support the big idea. All right. I'm going to flip to a new page. And I want you to be thinking, what's the big idea? What's this part mostly about? All right, track up here. Brian. Good job, George. I had to give him 0 reminders. Thinking, what's the big idea? What's this whole part mostly about? If you identify what the big idea is, what the part is mostly about, touch your hand like this. Show me what you're going to do. This is the big idea. This is the
big idea.
If the car doesn't hit a wall, or your big brother, or the couch, or the cat, or anything you can see, it still stops. What is pushing on the car to make it stop? A force called friction. Ooh, Melanie's thinking. Everything is bumpy. Even things that feel smooth, like glass or ice, are still a little bit bumpy. Brian, you can't feel the bumps of glass. They are too small, and you can't see them either, but they are still there. Whenever two things rub against each other, the bumps on those things rub against each other. The force of the bumps rubbing against each other is called friction. Friction makes moving things slow down. When you roll your car, the bumps on the floor push against the bumps on the car wheels a little bit. The friction is the force that stops the car. Ooh, I'm thinking, what's the big idea in this part? What is this text mostly about? I want you to be thinking about that. What is the text mostly about, and what are some details that you just heard all about? First, before you write on your sticky note, I want you to turn and tell your partner the big idea in this part is, and some details.
The big idea is
The big thing I learned is, what is that text part mostly about?
The
What did you learn about them?
Well, just put on top.
Oh, so the big idea is all about friction and friction rubbing together. Okay, so the big idea is about friction rubbing together. Turn and talk, please. Turn and talk, please. What is your guys learn in that? What's it about? Oh, that's a good idea, right? So Brian, tell me some key details about friction. What's a key detail? Ooh, friction is bumpy. What else? What are other key details about friction? You talked about key details about friction. Look up there, all the examples are in there. What is friction do? So things can stop. Friction has a bump. Everything has a bump. Friction. What else? Friction when you start together. Wow, you guys are keeping up with all right. Here is the sticky note I would like you to post it today. You are going to write, the big thing I learned is, for example, and then you will add your key details. What was the big thing that we learned? The big thing we learned was all about friction. Great. Write that down, and you need to jot key details all about friction. Go. The big thing I learned is, what was that page? What can you tell me about friction on that page? What did it tell you? So what else? Can you touch your hand as you say it? What else can you tell me about friction? Friction stops things. What else? What other key details? Friction is on things. Yeah, rub together. Wow, you just told me 3 key details about friction, right? The big thing I learned is all about friction. For example, Jalen, did you write your sticky? Are you prepared to share with the class? Why don't you go back and reread it? All right, readers, we are going to have a quick class discussion about what the big idea is and what the key details were in this text. I'd like you to go to your border spot. Go. 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to keep the text up here so that you can use text evidence when we are talking. I am going to also put up our sentence frames. If you need help, track them here. If you are going to build on someone's idea, if you are going to revoice, or if you're going to ask a question, I would like you to try to do one of each of those things. I will be tracking revoicing today. So, who would like to start us off? What was the big idea in this text? And what were the supporting details? Who would like to start us off? I'd like to see participation from, let's hear from Abraham.
The big thing is about